In this video, I'll be discussing the frontrunners for the next Cancer Cup. I'll be discussing how to build them and why each of these frontrunners are actually good. So here's just a quick tier list for the frontrunner based on their unique. So Smart Falcon and Seiun Sky is the best for the frontrunners, followed by these other 6 Umas, and I'll say for the frontrunners, only these 4 is like viable if you want to use it besides Smart Falcon and Seiun Sky. So how do you actually build these frontrunners? First of all, for the inherits, you need to get 2 uniques. The first one is Condor Pasa's unique, and the second one is Seiun Sky unique inherit, because both of the skill is the acceleration skill for the frontrunner in the last spurt. Now, as for the parenting, you need to farm groundwork, as this is the most important acceleration skill on the early part of a race to ensure that frontrunners have a huge lead over the other styles. You can also farm other green skills that are hard to get, such as wet condition and all other early or middle like skill like ramp up, playtime's over, slipstream, any skills that you want. As for the decks, for the frontrunners, it's pretty much, to be honest, all the same. Of course, you will be running Kita-san for obvious reason. Professor of Curvature is just a good skill, and Kita-san Black is just busted. We also have Silent Suzuka, because Silent Suzuka have the left-handed event, and Silent Suzuka also provides a lot of really good skills. Here are some of the skill lists that Silent Suzuka provides. Now, another card that you want to bring is Taitaku Helios. It is a power card, and it has a really good hints for the mile distance in general. It has skills such as Speed Eater, Slipstream, and Mile Corners. I'll also recommend borrowing the Yaino Muteki card, because Yaino Muteki provides the general ramp up playtimes over combo, and on top of it, she's a power card. Now for the other 2 cards, it's like a flex option. You can run like 2 speed or a wit card if you feel like you're a bit low on hitting the required wit stats. Speed options, you can just run any SR MLBs you have, such as Swift Dosho, Eishin Flash. You can also run Biko or Bakushin O if you have some MLB on it. And another option, if all your card is like MLB, then definitely, of course, run Tazuna, because you also get the concentration cold skill, which is really huge to minimize the late start for the frontrunners. As for the power cards option alternative, there is the Mihono Bourbon, because Mihono Bourbon power card provides you with the focus, frontrunner corners, and frontrunner straightaway skill. Now, if you're somehow really lazy on farming the groundwork, then you can just drop Yaino Muteki and borrow an Augury Cap, because Augury Cap has groundwork on the hit. But I really recommend you to farm the parents, as you will also use this groundwork inherit everywhere in the future if you're really planning on running frontrunners anyway. As for the stats recommendation, I recommend hitting 1200 on speed, 627 on stamina, 1000 on power, 314 on guts, and 600 on wit. Why do we need 627 and 314 on stamina and guts? It's to account the bad and awful myth on the round 1 and round 2. It's to ensure we have 601 stamina and over 301 guts, so that we can hit the speed bonus this track provides. Alright, now that's how to build the frontrunners. I'll now explain in depth for each certain characters. Now, the first one that I want to discuss is Smart Falcon. So if you take a look at Smart Falcon, she has a really good stats growth. It's 20% on speed, 10% on power, which is really perfect because it's really easy to train her. However, she has an E on her turf, so you definitely need some crazy parents that has groundwork and like 10 star on turf, which is really hard to get. Now, why Smart Falcon actually really good is her unique skill. If we take a look at her unique skill, Sparkly Stardom, she becomes empowered against hitting the spotlight when about to lose the lead on a straight mid race. Now, why is this skill really good is that on the Tokyo 1600 turf, procs right about here after the early part of the race. After you proc the groundwork and all your early skills, if she happens to be at the first position and she procs this unique skill, there's a very high chance that she just stays up at the first place until the end of the race. Now, why is this actually really important? Because if she's at the first place until the last part of the race or here, the angling and skimming and Pasa's unique procs right about here, and your condition is to be the first place. Ensure you have the acceleration you need to finish the race and stays first the whole race. You might see that the effect has an increased target speed and acceleration, but we're only looking at the target speed here because the acceleration is actually useless as it doesn't attribute to anything. Smart Falcon also has 2 green skills, which is really good, wet condition and frontrunner savvy, so you only need to have 1 extra skills to proc your groundwork. As for the start recommendation for Smart Falcon, I'm building my own Smart Falcon, and how I feel about this is that higher power is better on Smart Falcon than the speed, because having a higher power allows you to have a higher acceleration at the start of the race. It's also the same reason reason why I'm recommending having S-Turf is better than even having S-Mount. If you stay on the lead at the early race, you basically guarantee your proc on the unique. And if you proc your unique, then you just stay at the first until the end of the race, and you just straight up activating your inherit unique and you win the race. That also carries over to the skill priority. Of course, you need to prioritize the unique inherit, that is both Condor Pasa unique and Seiun Sky unique. And after that, you need to prioritize on all the early lead skills and groundwork. And of course, groundwork is the most important part, and the 3 proc skills followed by the middle leg and corner skills followed the last by the straight. If you're wondering why I put straight skill as the least important in order, is because on this track there's a no overtake zone on the straight, so straight skill that proc here is actually useless. Although the straight skill also helps you with the last part of the race, but corner is more consistent because it also allows you to help keep the lead on the final corner or help you overtake on other Umas. Now for the list of the early skills, I recommend getting Productive Plan, Leader's Right, Groundwork, and Focus. Taking the lead and early lead is a little bit of a bad skill because acceleration after 5 seconds is pretty much useless, as you usually already reach your top speed after accelerating with groundwork. If you have like no skills to take and like some extra points to spare, then by all means just grab the skill, because even like 0.1 meter lead on under Falcon is pretty useful on the early race. As for the green skills, I recommend getting the wet conditions, Runner Savvy, Summer Runner, or left-handed, but try to prioritize wet condition because more power means more start acceleration and you get more early lead. As for the middle leg skills and corner, it's pretty much the usual: ramp up till head high, mall corner, slipstream, 3 times over, professor of curvature, fast pace, speed eater. Coming up next, we have Seiun Sky. As everyone knows, Seiun Sky is the reason why Frontrunner is even meta. Her unique is just busted if it procs. If her unique's proc, she doesn't even need the inherit from Condor Pasas, and she just straight up win the race because her acceleration is just that much. However, it's really hard to build her because she has a really bad stats growth. If you see, she only has 10% on stamina and 20% on wit, and it's really hard to hit the speed and power cap if you don't have MLB cards. And if you have a bad Seiun Sky, it's really hard to overtake like on the middle part of the race, and it's pretty much over. As for the skill priority, I definitely recommend groundwork and 3 green frog skills, as it's really important for the front runners, and followed by early and middle leg and corner skills, so you have chance to overtake the Umas before the last spurt, followed by Pasa's unique and straight skills. Pasa's unique is like not really important as well. If you just have any spare skill points, then just grab it. Coming up next, we have Condor Pasa. Condor Pasa unique is also one of the broken ones in this CM because the activation of the unique procs on the last straight, which is like about here, and if it procs, then Condor Pasa pretty much also wins. For Condor Pasa, I recommend you pairing it with Seiun Sky Inherit because her acceleration is not that much compared to Seiun Sky. Although if you want to run Condor Pasa as a front, she has an E aptitude, so do keep in this mind, as the bad affinity on the style affects the width in race. And it's pretty much hard to fix this because you need like 10 star on the front parent spark. Now for the stat bonus, you have 20% on speed, 10% on width, which is not too bad. So you can kind of mix up the deck with like 3 speed and 3 power card if you want to have a higher power on Condor Pasa. As for the skill priority, definitely grab Seiun Sky Unique, and it's followed by groundwork and the 3 proc skill as usual, followed by the middle leg and corner skills so you can overtake, and pretty much early and straight skills you can grab. As for the next one, we have Sakura Bakushin O. Sakura Bakushin O has a pretty good unique. It increases velocity with Bakushin power when engaged in a challenge toward the front in the second half of the race. So Sakura Bakushin O unique procs on the second half of the race, and she needs to be higher than the third position, and she is being blocked by other Umas on the side. So it could proc anywhere along this area, and if it procs somewhere along this area, she gains a lot of speed boost, and what ends up happening is that she can overtake before the final corner of the angling and skimming proc. On top of that, she also has a decent start bonus, which is 20% on speed and 10% on width. As for the skill priority, definitely grab the Seiun Sky and Pasa uniques first because Sakura Bakushin O herself doesn't have any acceleration skill, followed by the groundwork and the usual 3 proc skills, and followed by the middle leg skills, corner, and whatever speed boost skill you can get. Next up on the list, we have Silent Suzuka. Now Silent Suzuka herself has a pretty decent unique. It increases velocity by drawing on all remaining strength when in the lead by a fair margin on the final straight. This skill proc beyond the the final corner, and it's on the last straight, and she needs to be on the first position followed by another Uma. So if you take a look at the race scores, it procs on the last straight right here. However, it doesn't help you to overtake the first position for the angling and skimming, and El Condor Pasa unique that procs around here. So it's a really bit rough to overtake other Umas. You kind of have like other Umas that procs their unique skill before the final corners, such as Falcon and Sakura Bakushin O, which proc so they can just straight up overtake you easier even if you have the lead at the start of the race. However, Seiun Suzuka has a pretty good skill herself. She has concentration, unrestrained, and left-handed on her kit. Her stat bonus is also okay overall. She has 20% on speed and 10% on guts. As for the skill priority, definitely grab Seiun and Pasa unique, the same unit followed by the groundwork and the usual and middle and corner skill, and followed by the early lead skill and straight skills. Now, the next on the list we have Daiwa Scarlet. Her unique skill, Swell with determination to stay number 1 in the second half of the race. This has the same issue as Seiun Suzuka because she needs to be the first place to proc this unique. Her activation area is actually similar to Sakura Bakushin O, however she needs to be in the first place, while Sakura Bakushin O only needs to be in the third place. But what's really good about Daiwa Scarlet's unique is that if she somehow procs the acceleration and overtake right about this area, then they could happen a speed carryover into the last spurt. And if you notice, she also has an acceleration on her unique, so if she procs here on the last spurt, then it's pretty much over because then her uniques also add up with the Seiun and Pasa her unique, just makes you sprint throughout the last spurt very easy. And another problem that Daiwa Scarlet have is that she has a really bad stats growth, which is only 10% on speed and 20% on guts. As for the skill priority, it's definitely the same as all the frontrunners before. Coming up next, we have Maruzensky. I don't really recommend building her. She's actually not good for this CM because her skill is pretty much useless. So what happens if you run Maruzensky as a frontrunner, then definitely she's always higher than the 5th position, and she will always proc the redshift on the final corner. Acceleration that procs here doesn't affect the last spurt because it's too far from the last spurt, and this unique ends up being useless. However, if you still definitely want to build her, her build is pretty much the same as all the other frontrunners before. There's also a unique scenario where you might want to run Maruzensky as a late surger, because if Maruzensky proc her redshift a bit late, for example like about this area, then she got a really huge acceleration for the last spurt. And how do you delay this is by running her as a late surger style, because, and also I'll discuss this on another video about the late surgers. Lastly on the list we have Mihono Bourbon. Mihono Bourbon has a similar problem to Seiun Suzuka and Daiwa Scarlet, because she needs to be on the first position until the end of the race. Her skill is actually harder to proc because she has 2 more extra condition, which is bad start and temptation count 0. What this means is that if you got a late start on her, then her unique is basically just useless. And if she got rushed by anyhow, if you're unlucky, then her unique is also useless. On top of that, she has a really bad start growth. She has 0% boost on speed, so you definitely want to run for speed card on Mihono to cover for this. She has the cool skill called taking the lead, however as I have explained before, this skill procs a bit too late after the early part of the groundwork, and it basically doesn't give a lot of value. For the skill priority, definitely grab Seiun and Pasa unique as usual, groundwork as usual, corner skills, and lastly the early leg skills and the straight. As for the proc skills, I highly recommend you get concentration if you want to run Mihono. It helps you eliminate the bad start, so technically you just only need to not get rushed and she can somehow proc her unique. I'll be also uploading for the pace chasers, late surges, and end closers. As always, thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.